Thank you for joining us on FlowFM 92.7 on terrestrial radio, 92.7 megahertz. And if you're joining us via the World Wide Web, thank you so very much for listening via www.flowfm927.com. Now you have it. Just in case you're out of town and you want to join us, well, please listen via the website www.flowfm927.com. It's Monday morning. Good morning to you and welcome. Hope you had a great weekend. Let's talk about some of the big stories that made headlines. This morning, we brought you the headline news at 7 o'clock, and we did promise to return at 8 o'clock to analyze, debate, and talk about some of the stories. Now we have the time for the next 30 minutes. We'll be talking on some of the big stories that made headlines that is worth talking about. We'll bring them to you. We highlight them with debate. We analyze them, and we give you the chance to also join in the conversation as well. To do that, please give us a call on 0807 777-9927 0807-777-9927. My name is Adeyemi.
I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey. Thank you for joining us on the headline news analysis. Good morning to you, Nicholas.
Good morning.
How are you doing today, and how's your weekend?
Oh, fine, thank you. Well, it's the weekend was a bit. I don't know how to put it.
Footballish. Let's put it that way.
Of course, and it was a sad one for Kwara United, losing at home by a long goal to the Abia Warriors.
What did you call them again?
Abia Warriors.
The Warriors from where?
From Abia.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's I don't know, but all the same, it's well. I learned that the coach has been sacked. From what we get. But what the management is saying is that they had a mutual agreement to part ways. I really wonder what that really means anyway. But all the same, it tells you that things are no longer at it should be. A lot of things, it's symptomatic of a lot of problem that is within the management setup. And some people have even called for, a thorough investigation of what is happening over there, because commensurate with what the governor is giving, the governor has shown, unparalleled, commitment to, growing football, not just as a sport, as a development vocation, but also as a business. And the last time I have seen, a state executive, involved in, a game of football at that level is while I was, covering Enyimba in 2004-2005. The commitment of Oju Zakalo, was something that gave us twice, 2 years in a row, the Champions League, CAF Champions League, so, I was expecting the same thing to happen to Kwara United, but unfortunately, I don't know, something just, it's one of those things in football, but I sincerely hope they get their act together when they meet Kano Pillars.
Okay.
And I think it's over. Yeah, that's the next match they have.
All right. They lost to the Warriors. Now they are facing Pillars.
They won against Plateau United, though.
They won against Plateau United.
They won against Plateau.
But again, looking at some of the achievements made under the coach, do you think it's not satisfying enough, or maybe they're not meeting the targets? Fans.
You see, they call them sweat merchant for a reason. It's like you have to beat your last resort or beat feet out of the club. That's as simple as that.
Just the same way it is in
broadcast. Yeah, exactly. You're as good as your last byline.
You're as good as your last broadcast.
So it's like it's a pressure cooker kind of thing. You don't just leave and look at Mourinho. Just the season after he won the league, he was given the boot the following season. So it happens like that. In Chelsea, in most of these clubs, you have it happen. In fact, as a matter of fact, he won't be the first person to be sacrificed in the Nigerian league. The Insurance of Benin have also sacked their gaffer. So how do you go? Soldier go, soldier come, like the back. The back still
well, what do you think the next coach should do better?
I think it's the mantle has fallen on Ashifat Sulaiman. Ashifat Sulaiman is a fantastic coach. As a matter of fact, I had even before Sani came on board, I had even tipped him as the perfect replacement. But of course, we have local politics around here, the politics of indigenship and the rest of them, and which, as far as I'm concerned, nonsense. If you really want to grow, football, as it should be grown. Yeah. You do away with all those petty sentiments. When we won the Champions League, Enyimba won the Champions League, you need to see, in fact, the Nigerian team was like, the Enyimba team was like national team. We even have a Beninois and a Ghanaian in that team. You know, so it's this mix of talents from different parts of that's what makes a club tick. That's where you bring in talents from everywhere you find them. So I sincerely hope that he's given the necessary support. But because I have implicit confidence in him. Yeah.
Okay. All right. The views to be expressed is not in any way the position of FlowFM 92.7 or the staff therein, but is expressed by our in-house analyst, Nicholas Uwerunonye. This is to remind you that we're streaming live on YouTube and on Facebook this morning at FlowFM 927. So if you want to get in on the live action happening in the studio, you can go on any of the sites on YouTube or on Facebook and get in on the live action. Let's get into the stories this morning. Let's pick it up from World Teachers Day. We're celebrating our teachers, is it not? The Nigeria Labour Congress has urged the federal and state governments to prioritize teachers' welfare by implementing a living wage, improved funding for public education, and enforcing the rights of private school teachers to unionize.
Well, Nicholas, this has been a conversation year in, year out, because we remember last year we had the same conversation about World Teachers Day.
Yeah.
And then we had some state, I think Edo states, made a promise, for teachers at the time. We don't know if that has been fulfilled. Definitely. We'll put a call through to Edo State and find out if that has been implemented or fully, worked on or thereabout. And then other states as well, too. It was Teachers Day.
Yeah.
And we cannot thank this God-sent, people enough.
We can't thank the teachers enough. And it is quite sad that the Nigerian system has not rewarded them enough. Now let me tell you something that happened over the weekend. While I was traveling to I traveled briefly out of Ilorin, just to Gele, somewhere around the Yankorin. On my way, I decided to stop by because one of my son was having my son was having an extramural class on the weekend. So I stopped by and I saw the proprietor. And we talked a great deal about the good old days when he used to go to Ghana to recruit good teachers. Then he told me about the quality of Ghanaian teachers. That he said, and then I asked him, why don't you bring them anymore? He said, well, you see, the thing is, they don't want to come to Nigeria anymore. Because you see, they have a fantastic system over there. Who do you get to bring? You can't lure them. What does he have to offer them? When they have a better currency anyway, their currency is stronger, they have it more organized. And the teaching profession has always been very big in Ghana. The teaching is one of the biggest professions in Ghana. You understand? So, so sometimes I kind of dream of, when we can imbibe that kind of culture, putting teachers up there, primary, secondary, university. He said when they come, when you see a Ghanaian teacher work, that these guys are workaholic. They are totally dedicated to teaching profession. But unfortunately, when they come to when the economy was not that okay, that was when they come to Nigeria. And if you recall, I don't know, for some of us who still have that memory, we still have that memory of when the Ghanaian teacher held sway in the secondary schools. Some of us were taught by Ghanaian teachers in our secondary school and in our primary school. And they were the best. You have extramural programs. It's usually Ghanaian teachers, So I don't know when we are going to get to that level. It's quite sad, really. It's very, very sad, that despite all they have done, and there's no commensurate, reward for them. And this call about them, the private sector teachers, who are the biggest sufferers of this, under the system.
I was going to ask you exactly that.
Yeah.
What is the fate of private school teachers?
They are terribly underpaid, even though they work three times more than their government paid counterparts. You see, the highest paid is about 45,000 naira. This is for Kwara. But of course, that is when you do a ratio. That is when you do an average.
On the average,
it's about 40,000 naira.
Because some schools pay a bit higher than that.
How many are they? Maybe one or two.
The minimum wage.
And these are usually the Ivy League,
Ivy League schools.
Ivy League schools that you have. All these big schools that multi-million naira schools where you pay almost 500,000 to 1 million per term.
For one child.
So that is exactly that is where you get that kind of payment. So and you see, it goes to those things we keep on saying, that there is a need for government to partner them. You need to partner them. There must be some level of partnership, either by way of supplying them, supplying schools with, how am I going to put it, teaching materials, so that you can have a level of supervision in the school structure in terms of their wages and the rest of them. In fact, the thing, unfortunately, you see, the thing, what a lot of people don't understand is that because of that suffering, because of that system that kind of squeezes the school system is being gamed in the areas of tax payment. You see, I learned that most of these private schools, when they go and register the number of teachers they have, they underreport them so that they don't have to pay tax. And there is a number of, where you have to, pay minimum wage, where there are some, conditions you have to meet. You understand? So they go there and under-register the number of, pupils, teachers they have, so that they don't have to meet that threshold. You understand? So at the end of the day, who loses? There's a system that loses. But if government meets them, halfway, either by way of saying, okay, where we have a congested class, where we have congested classrooms, like you have so many of them, so many government schools around my area, look for schools with proper structure. Shed some of these kids to them where they have lesser pupils in class. You just distribute them because they are within the same axis. Then prorate this thing and give them subventions every month. You understand? And give them, Subeb should supply them teaching materials. Because these are Kwara kids too. Every child counts in Kwara.
Very true.
Very
true.
These are some ways that government, it's innovative. At the end of the day, the government shouldn't count the cost. Is it because, like I keep on saying, the amount you put, you get almost tenfold of what you put into education in terms of returns. So these are, I think government should think outside the box, that the law says we should provide for government schools. So anybody that wants to go to private because he has money, it's not that easy. People don't take their kids to government schools anymore because, one, the structures are dilapidated. And the number of pupils you put in a class, you put 100 and something in a classroom for one teacher, how is he going to mark them? How is he going to assess them? There's no attention for most of them, the bulk of them. So that is the problem. That's why it's not as if we don't want to take our kids to government schools. It's just because there's poor supervisions there. And apart from that, you see the teachers, nobody supervises them. You go to these public schools and see what happens there. They go in and out of it. They do their private business without a care in the world. You know, and nobody can say because it's government work, it's nobody's work in Nigeria. So that is, so we cannot exhaust, the issues surrounding teaching in Nigeria and teachers. We can speak on and on and on about it without even.
Remember the other day we had a teacher called us on the show.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, I remember that.
Okay. In fact, again. He was saying something about the virtual teaching.
She was saying something about it.
She was saying something about this virtual teaching. Now that is the in thing. That is where everybody's going. People. In fact, over the weekend, somebody told me about looking for Yoruba teachers that would teach Nigerian languages. To people abroad, and there is a link or something like that. You get involved, then they train you on how to do it, and you make cool money. So you heard what she said, that there are teachers are very good. Teachers are hard to come by now. Trained teachers are hard to come by now. So that's the thing. So government should, it's a conversation we need to have regularly. To not just have it on radio, have a forum where we get policymakers to listen, get them to listen. That it's a great disservice if we neglect that part of our human development metrics.
Because again, I think there's this body. One time I spoke with I think the chairman of the proprietors of private school owners.
Yeah, they have a body.
They have a body like that, and that's about 3-4 years ago. And then he did speak about the plight of teachers, and it has not improved over the years.
It's not.
This morning again, we're just talking about it.
It's like a year in, year out conversation. If nothing changing.
Again, while we talk to government to do something, I think that those proprietors, association of proprietors must equally look inwards too and try to get their act together, because most of them are exploitative. Let us face it. Those guys are Sherlocks. They are just like Sherlocks. They rip off parents rip off even, the people, kids put in their care. They don't, it's just about profit making and nothing more. That is what you see. You see them introduce a lot of things into school system that has of no value whatsoever. You talk of people dancing salsa. What the heck is that? Dancing salsa in Nigeria? What's that supposed to give you? I mean, you see a lot of things. They just bring in some things because so it looks, like you Gen Z say, touche. And you lob it at parents, and you have them pay. I mean, you have sports. Most of these schools don't even have playing pitches. In those days, you remember, very big. You can run and do exercise, but you see them in very small. How many square? Maybe less than one plot, and you have a full school, primary, secondary, even university in that one plot. That's an exaggeration, but that is what you see around. It's just about profit making. It's not about growing skills. It's not about imparting learning. It's not about developing, more psychomotor, skills. And the school system is not supposed to be. It's supposed to be the best period of a child's life. When he's molded, to see things the way, to see life, to take on life challenges. But you don't see most of these proprietors do that. Of course, in the government secondary school, because you have expanse of land, and things like that, you still have a tradition, you still have that tradition. But in most of these privately owned schools, is essentially about profit making.
All right. You're talking about some of these, private schools not even having, pitches and not even having arenas for sports.
For sports.
My colleague would definitely take on me if I mentioned my school right now that we had a volleyball court, a basketball court, a football pitch. Maybe
you're lucky you went to do some of those schools that is well equipped. For some of
IJ.
What's that?
IJ. Let's move on to another story this morning on the headline news analysis.
08077779927 is the number to call to be part of the conversation. Let's pick up the story. The former president Goodluck Jonathan has denied reports claiming he linked the late former president Muhammadu Buhari to the Boko Haram terrorist group. Jonathan said his remarks at the public presentation of Scars, a book authored by former Chief of Defense Staff General Lucky Rabo, were misrepresented by some sections of the media. The clarification explained that Jonathan's reference to Buhari was made in the context of discussing Nigeria's early challenges in combating terrorism, while noting that the former president merely used that incident to highlight the deceptive tactics of the insurgent group, which often invoked the names of respected public figures to create confusion and exploit political divisions.
Well, you see, that former president, Goodluck Jonathan, has to come out to make that clarification is rather saddening, really. It tells you of how overtly and negatively sensitive we have become. That even when we see the truth, we react with a knee-jerk response, based on partisanship. I listened to the president, and what the former president said it's there all over the places. What happened was that, because we actively reported that story. Boko Haram at that time came out and said if federal government wanted peace, that he named some mediators. Late Muhammadu Buhari was one of those people that was named. It's there on the public, and they said that those are the kind of mediators they want to mediate between them and the federal government. And of course, President Muhammadu Buhari came out and said, no, there is no way I can represent people that I don't know. That is equally on record too. And again, Buhari was attacked by Boko Haram. They bombed his convoy. Even while he wasn't the president, they saved him. In fact, I recall the late president making a pledge to Goodluck Jonathan that he is ready to do whatever to help federal government to defeat them. So now, Leo Irabo, the former, the commander of, the Nigerian army, and I think the defense, the chief of defense staff, at that, before retirement, wrote a book on Boko Haram and things like that, and he was reviewing the book. And he made mention of how crafty this Boko Haram can be, naming some people and things like that. Was the comment that, the president made, that was the former president made. He just mentioned that in the passing. Then, of course, overnight there has been hoopla. And even the most disappointing of them all is Garba, the former spokesman of late Muhammadu Buhari. Saying, taking on the former president that it was not true that the terrorist named the late president as one of its mediator. Over the last few days, people started bringing out, articles that he himself wrote as a journalist. Saying, that not only affirming it in 2012, that now that Buhari has Buhari has rejected that call and things like that. I had to read that column again because I knew I read it back then. So the overall, what I'm trying to say in the overall sense of it is, we should have let things like that go. That is, if there is any sincerity in this matter of Boko Haram, things like that. And this is one of the reasons why we have been unable to defeat Boko Haram and insurgents.
Okay, Nicholas, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
It might seem out of context, but again, I think the ordinary Nigerian, probably something that will linger in their heart if they understand or listen to this program right now. If what the former president Jonathan is saying as naming former late president Muhammadu Buhari as the mediator. So if the late president had stepped in,
okay,
to mediate, do you think it would have stopped these attacks from Boko Haram?
It wouldn't have.
Or do you think they see him as a voice to listen to from the north?
No, it wouldn't have, and I'll tell you why. You see, Boko Haram, they already had what they had. They knew where they were going. Mm-hmm. They weren't ready to stop at any point.
Do you think this name calling was all a deception? Because again,
it's a
we have Alimodu Sheriff.
Okay.
Been named.
Okay.
In fact, we have the incumbent vice president has
also
well
been named. You see, let's be clear about certain things. You see, insurgency does not just happen. You can't. There has been a lot of fingering of foreign external forces. Mm-hmm. A foreign and external force does not just come into your country. There will be outreach, global outreach, and you are going to lean on ECOWAS treaty and the rest of them to push them out. So they are not going to come out in that guise. But you see, there are fissures within the country. Don't forget that Boko Haram has been there long before, the Boko Haram that we used to know then. We are something very similar to this Maitaseni thing. You understand? People who want to live like, they want to live like hermits. They believe only in Sharia. Mm-hmm. And they wielded a lot of influence. So the politicians in Borno courted them. Ali Modu Sharif brought them, because he felt he could count on their votes, to defeat PDP. That was where it all started.
Because they were in large numbers.
As a matter of fact, he even gave them a portfolio. One of the commissioner, Baba Fugu, was part of his, so the man left in annoyance. Later, Baba Fugu was killed, when the clampdown started. It was the killing and some of those people around it that radicalized them. Then, of course, they had people who already had intentions to move into Nigeria that used those fissures to enter the system. You understand?
Infiltrates the whole thing.
So, as it were, they came up with this issue of we are going to live under Sharia. We are going to live under Sharia. You understand? I think where the northern establishment, the core northern establishment made a huge mistake was to confuse that with a fight for their religion. I think they made a very big mistake, a gross miscalculation. Because why some of us were saying that, look, this thing has nothing whatsoever to do with Islam. Because I grew up in Ilorin. I know Islam very well. I know that most of the things they are doing is un-Islamic, even though not being a Muslim myself. You understand? But you see, it is so easy. They understood the temperament of the people. The moment you mention one religion, either Christian or this thing, people become emotional. There's less of reasoning. So they capitalized on that. And of course, they understand the stature of late President Muhammadu Buhari in the north. They call him my Gaskia. The Talakawas flock to him because they believe that he speaks the truth. You understand? So it's so easy for them. It's just, it's a diversionary. They wanted to lean on that cloud to make it look that they have a legitimate fight they were fighting. Whereas it was not so. It was that is an insurgent that have a plan, a nefarious plan against Nigeria. So that was what we didn't see at that time. You know, so of course, some saw it. We made our calls at that time, but of course, in the throes of political partisan politics, negative partisan politics, there was no sense of reasoning. Now we are living with the consequence of that mistake we made in the past, and that is why we have. A few days ago, a former governor and Senate president made a call on the insecurities, or in Kwara State. Of course, you see everybody tearing at each other, rather than tearing at the problem at hand. Now, you see, this is not to exonerate the former. I'm talking of Bukola Saraki. This is not to exonerate him, because I think, making that call at that forum, I think it's irresponsible. This is my opinion. I think he shouldn't have made that call, because we are talking of everybody's tensed up. The killing is massive, and there is a huge weight on the governor. He's been a governor himself. He knows what it's like when you have that kind of weight on you. So going there, to further heat up the place, I think it's unnecessary and irresponsible. Let us be very clear about it. You understand? I'm not here to play partisan, but you see, lives are being lost, people are being killed. It's time we start telling ourselves the home truth. So that is the situation as far as I'm concerned.
I think it leads us into the next conversation, where former President Olusegun Obasanjo was talking about banditry, Boko Haram, kidnapping, that is lingered for a long time.
It's been over a decade of this whole Boko Haram situation, and now there's no counterinsurgency strategy still yet being able to be developed in over.
You get the point now. You see, that was what I was saying. That was what I was building up to. You see, this banditry, insurgency, kidnapping, it's a metastasized, variants of the Boko Haram insurgents we have. You see, look, if you case most of the suspects that they have been able to arrest, you will discover that at some point they were here, they were there, in all of this matrix of, insurgency and insecurity we are talking about. They've been players all over the places. You understand? So, you see, the tactics is almost the same. Just, in fact, if you need to, the easiest way is, if you've been able to catch them and their arms, do a profile of their arms. You see that it's quite similar to the ones you've taken from Boko Haram in the past. You understand? So, these are some of, Obasanjo has stated the obvious. At that time when there should have been oneness in fighting that scourge when it started. We decided to play politics.
So what's the difference between what former Senate President Bukola Saraki said and what former President Olusegun Obasanjo is saying? In the sense that, these two, prominent Nigerians know about what the situation is on insecurity. Are they offering solutions, or rather, are they condemning the situation or worsening or heating up the polity?
Now, you see, Obasanjo does not have a horse in the race. He's a former president. He's making a general call. At the platform where Bukola Saraki made his call, it was a PDP forum. That's where they sit, critique the government of the day. Then when you surreptitiously slip in the issue of insurgency that has almost emptied Kwara South, and it is still burning the hearts of people, I think that the call was too, he shouldn't have made that call at that point. That wasn't a mature thing to do. This is my opinion. Of course, he may differ. But what I'm saying is that you've been a governor before. You've been a Senate president. And this thing has been... And as a matter of fact, all this insurgency started when you guys were fighting for power. You were part of those same people that politicized Boko Haram in those days. So there's no escaping it. So this is me trying to hold them accountable for the mistakes they've made. They shouldn't think that some of us will forget. We don't forget. People like us have exceptionally long memories. We don't forget things like that. We pointed out, no, you don't say that, because we knew at point A, this was what you were saying. You get a point. So that's the thing.
All right, our time is fast spent, so let's take this comment from Facebook. Dr. Mrs. Amaolibar from Uri says, Happy Teachers' Day to all teachers as they celebrate their day. Let us revitalize the image and respect for teaching as a vocation by increasing public awareness on the value of teachers in society and national development. Let us express gratitude sincerely for positive influences teachers have on our learners. Let's all contribute in making teaching as attractive a profession and giving teachers the needed support and assistance. Another comment from Hazan Mohammed from Sobi is pretty long, so I'm not going to be able to take all of it. He was talking about Ghana's development is doing better than Nigeria. I heard that they decimated their currency by removing 2 zeros, meaning 1,000 naira in Nigeria is about 10 to 100 CD. And on the issue of security, over the weekend, the U.S. senator allegedly said what was happening over here in Nigeria is a Christian genocide. But we all know that they're already finding ways to get the geolocation of Nigeria and destroy things.
Oh, that's
Bukola, okay. He also says Bukola Saraki only wants to take over the power in Kwara State, nothing more, and they want to play politics with insurgency.
All right.
That's his
all the
contribution.
comments.
Hazan Mohammed from Subi. We're going to take a story, but we'll just touch on it and then pick it up tomorrow as well. The Nigerian Army has dismissed a false online report claiming that bandits invaded its troops' location in Obala, Kwara State, casting away 6 general-purpose machine guns and over 30,000 rounds of ammunition.
Yeah, I think Nigerians, Kwarans especially, should listen to the army on that.
Yeah.
We'll talk about it more tomorrow.
Yeah,
because,
we'll concentrate on that tomorrow. Thank you so much for joining us on the analysis for today. Our time is fast spent, so we're not going to be able to take any more comments. The views expressed is not in any way the position of FlowFM 92.7 or the staff therein, but is expressed by our in-house analyst, Nicholas Uwerunonye. Do have a productive week ahead. I'm Danielle Shitta-Bey.
And I am Adedayo Adeyemi. Good morning to you.
Locked in, no matter where you are. Non-stop vibes, non-stop hits. This is Flow FM 92.7.
Good morning, Ilorin. You know what time it is. Wake up with us and get your day started right.
We've got the hottest headlines, trending topics, and the music you love back to back.
You already know we keep it fun, fresh, and real. Mid mornings with us, you won't want to miss it.
We bring the energy, the laughs, and of course the tunes that gets you through the day.
Afternoon on Flow FM is where the culture lives. Music, entertainment, and all the gist that you need.
And if it's trending, you already know we're talking about it.
Stay locked in, Ilorin. It's Flow FM, baby.
The night's young, the vibes are right, and we are flowing past midnight. You ready to chill? Let's go.
Listen anytime, anywhere. Stream us live, call us, send us a WhatsApp message. We're just a tap away. Flow FM 92.7. My music, my radio.